Hi guys, it is Mariki again, and I am back with another video in the series on pastels. And today I want to talk about soft pastels, or chalk pastels as they're also known. Now these days when you go online you will find soft pastels referring more often to oil pastels, a very soft oil pastel, though traditionally soft pastels are it's another name for chalk pastels. So what we are talking about are these kinds of pastels. So I have some pastel pencils here, and you do get them in pencil format. I'm going to pull these out. These are called skin tones. There we go. And you have some vibrant colors on this side and some muted colors on this side, some neutral tones. So if I take, well, they don't have any names on it. If I just draw on a piece of white drawing paper, this is a very, very smooth paper and not ideal for pastels. You want a textured paper for pastels, something with a tooth to it, because the grain in the paper needs to capture the powder of the pastel. You can see the powder there. It needs to capture the powder of the pastel and hold it, because that's the way that you put the color on the paper. And then if you have a grainy paper, you can achieve more layers of pastels than if you have a smooth paper. So not ideal, but I wanted to quickly grab a white paper so that you could see the colors on white and compare it to what it looks like on black paper. So let me just get a black paper here. Now, soft pastels are brilliant for using on black paper. But you can see equally good on white as well. Those are your neutral tones, and if you look at these neutral tones, they are really, really very neutral. In order to be truly skin tints, it would need some purples and blues and colors like that, which it doesn't have. But if you add this set to that one, certainly you would be able to achieve those kinds of colors. I'm going to come a little closer to me so that you can perhaps see more clearly what I'm talking about. So those are your pastel pencils. And I'm just leaning over here to make sure that the camera is correctly focused, because my previous video was rather poorly focused. I'm putting those aside, and while I'm on the topic of pastel pencils, perhaps I should show you some more of these. So this is, these are Derwent pastel pencils, and this is my cool range of pencils and the cooler colors. And again, you're going to find that these are, they are brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. These are softer than the other ones that I had on just now, but equally good, I'm quite sure. Derwent is way more pricey than those ones were, and unless you're an absolutely serious pastel artist, then the cheaper ones are going to serve your purposes. You will probably not notice the difference. They certainly don't have the color range that the Derwent pencils have, but they're good, and it's going to take you quite a distance. This is my warmer range of pencils, the warmer colors, and I tend to set them out in trays like this so that I can use them more easily. Now, the reason why you have pastel pencil sticks and why you have pastel sticks and pastel pencils is simply so that you can do more detailed work with the pastel pencils than you would be able to do with the pastel sticks. Although, having said that, I'm going to show you that there are ways to do rather detailed work with those as well. Now, if you look on my page here, and I hope you can see it, I am tapping the dust off the paper there, and there's quite a bit of dust. This pastel dust is part and parcel of this art medium. You're not going to get rid of it. For that reason, you would normally work at an angle so that the dust could fall to the bottom. And because people tend to rest their hands on the surface that they are working on, you also need to start working, if you're right-handed, on the left-hand top corner and across to the bottom right corner. That would be your best working method. And of course, if you're left-handed, then the opposite direction would be true for you. Now, this is a suggestion. Better practice is to teach yourself not to rest your hand on your work surface, but to rather keep your hand elevated. Your arm can rest on your table, be supported over there, but your wrist should preferably not rest on your work surface, so that you don't pull your hand through the pastel painting that you're creating. And yes, it's called a painting, not a drawing, although I doubt that anybody is going to correct you if you use the wrong terminology. Now, I am donning a glove, and you will see it's half a glove, that is normally used for working with chalks and pastels and charcoal and those sorts of things. And the reason is, if I now grab a pastel stick, you can see that I can hold this in my fingers without dirtying the glove, and I can start working. Interesting how I chose both the browns that are so similar, but in any case, I can work on this. It's a bit of a protection, in my opinion, more for the hand than for the actual work of art. But you do get these little nifty gadgets that you can put on if need be. Right, so that's an overview of the pastel pencils. Now, if you look at my pastel sticks, I have a neutral tray of pastel sticks. These are the whites, the blacks, the greys, the browns, those sorts of shades that we're talking about. And the reason that I would have a wide variety of pastel sticks is because you can't blend a new color with pastels. If I bring in an obvious blend, blue, I have a blue there, and I bring in a yellow on top of the blue, I can't actually blend a green. I almost said grey. I can't blend a green here. I can overlay the two colors and create a visual green, an optical green. By mixing them together, I can create the optical green. It's not an actual new color, a new hue that I have created. The particles, the powder particles, are lying next to each other so close to each other that the eye can't differentiate between yellow and blue, and therefore the eye perceives this to be green, but it's not a new hue. Unlike an oil pastel, which I can mix and it becomes a new color because the binding in it, the binding medium in it, combines the two hues together to create a third hue. So that's something you need to know about pastels, and for that reason you would choose to have a larger collection of soft pastels, chalk pastels, than you would of others, because the wider your range of colors, the more detailed and intense the work can be. Now, you will also notice that some of these are square and some of these are round, and as a general rule of thumb, the round ones are the harder ones, and the square ones are the softer ones, and I have found it to be the direct opposite. Now, I don't know if that is simply because In South Africa, that rule is not applied. I'm not sure why. But I find that my Derwent pastels are some of my hardest pastels. And then some of the softest ones are these. And they're both squares. So I don't know to what extent I would even pay any mind to that general rule of thumb. The best way to find out how hard and soft a pastel is to just bring it to a piece of paper. And this is a softer one. And you can see immediately when I put it down, there's a lot of powder that stays on the surface. When I bring in a harder pastel, and let me bring in one of these Derwent ones, it leaves less residue on the surface. There's less powder staying behind, and this is a harder pastel. Now, the harder the pastel, the more detailed, accurate work you can achieve with it. So I can do a rather detailed thin line with these, and even using it on, oh my goodness, that wasn't a good example. Using it on the side, this is not a good example. Let me get the sharper one. I can achieve a rather good line there. Right. Of course, also on the points, and you're going to sort of look for your sharpest angle to achieve that. Now, that's also the reason why you would find that I have loads of broken pastels. Pastels really become useful when you start breaking them up into smaller pieces to work with. This way, I can do a color fill rather quickly by using the pastel on the side. And I still have sharp edges that I can do detailed work with. But if this was a humongous pastel, this is probably more than you would ever fill at one time in an actual painting. So when you break your pastels into smaller pieces, they become truly useful to you. And you'd often find with artists that they have loads of broken pastels. And yes, pastels are soft and they will break, but they're not that soft. We do break them on purpose. So those are your neutral colors, or my neutral colors, I suppose. And then I have a warm palette with lovely, vibrant, warm colors. I love these. I really love these, and I don't even know what the make of these are, because once I've unpacked them, it's years ago, and I don't know who made them. But these, if I found them, I would buy them again. They are fantastic. And another one that I really love are these tiny little ones. And this is pretty much the size in which they come. They're not a full pastel. A full pastel is more or less this height. Derwent is slightly longer than the rest. But that's more or less the size of a full pastel, and these are half pastels. When you actually put them next to each other, you can see they're about half pastels. But very soft, very nice pastels to work with. So that's your warm palette. And then I have a cool palette. And here's the cool palette. And you can see that this cools things down quite substantially. And I keep working on both the black and the white so that you can see how these colors will pop off any surface that you put them on. Now, you will not work on white, and that's why I don't have a white pastel paper. I don't even know that pastel paper is created in white. You will work on a colored background, a tinted background in your paper, because the spaces in between the powder residues, those white spaces in that line. Let's do one of these again. Those white spaces in there, they're not supposed to be white. They're supposed to be a different color. And they contribute to the painting. They become part of the picture. and you choose your colors according to the theme of what you're drawing, according to the setting of the drawing, and you let the surface of your paper work with you. Pretty similar in watercolors, where the white of the paper is used to add the white, the life to the painting. So that, in short, then is chalk pastels. You would use a fixative to fix it, and I again have hairspray. And if during the process of creating the drawing you find that your paper becomes saturated, you cannot lay down any more layers, spraying a layer of fixative on top of this should fix it ever so slightly. And hairspray and art fixative, it's pretty much the same thing, so I go for the cheaper hairspray options. But once you've sprayed the hairspray on top, and I wonder if I can quickly create a saturated section here where the paper will not take any more. Now you will see the pastel is actually lifting itself because the paper has become completely saturated. Let me just get rid of this excess powder. Then spraying some fixative is going to make it appear like the color has disappeared. It will come back once it dries. I want to quickly get this dry, and I should wait a little bit longer, but essentially you can see that I can now again start building onto this color. Let me get rid of the excess again, and I can apply more layers. You can only do that so many times. You can't just keep on doing that, but that gives you an option of applying more layers. Let's work on the back of this one, why not? I want to show you how to create that little drawing of 3 flowers. Now I have touched this with my hands. This is part and parcel of pastel drawing. But I want to show you how to create that little drawing that we've just had. I want to quickly rearrange these trays around me so that I can reach them and work with them. Let me bring in let me use a white. I'm going to draw the flowers in white, and I'm doing a very loose drawing, not forcing anything here. A little bit of a wobble in my hand so that I can create those imperfect petals. That is on purpose. It's not, I like a little bit more informality there, a little bit of movement. The minute you put a bit of a wobble in your hand, there's a bit of movement in leaves and they don't look stagnant. Let me show you the opposite of that, is that you would do a very controlled drawing where your petals become rigid and frankly boring. If you compare this to that, this has life already. Before I do anything, there's life in these petals. Now I'm going to just use some color to, let's do a bit of a neutral one here. A neutral color. And this is not neutral in terms of a brown or something. It's my medium hue that I want to work with. And then I want to come in with a brighter, let me leave this one here so you can see it. Then I want to come in with a brighter hue. I'm going to use this one. And let me first do the lighter hue. If I come in with a lighter hue, I can add some light to the drawing. And there's no rule that says you first got to do light and then the darks. It's your own personal choice. And now if I come in and I add some shadow areas, some richer darker areas. I like that, but I want a bit more depth. Then you can see that my colors are starting to pull together now. To blend or not to blend, that is the question. At some point you are going to want to blend. Really maybe should not have worked on the back of this one, but never mind. Okay, so if I blend, let's do this. I'm quickly recreating that. Then these colors are going to, sure, that was a bit wild. They're going to blend into each other a little bit more. If I don't blend, it's going to have this more painterly effect. There's no right and wrong. You can choose yourself which you prefer to do. Now I want to come in with a darker shade. For the deep shadow areas. And only when I do that does this thing start to come alive. I need to add a center. And what am I going to do in the center? How about I go a different route and I create a center in gray. There's a bit of white there. Let me leave these here because I might just come back to them. I'm going to go over the white so it's not so stark white, and then I'm going to come in with some black and just give it the shadow side over here. Let me not blow on this because it'll go all over the table. Right, I'm going to opt not to blend. Unless I bring in a blending tool. Now, I have a couple of options. This is a blender pencil. This is, I think this one is grey. Sure, let me add some light here. I tend to forget to switch on the light. Now this is a white pencil, and this is a rubber pencil. So effectively an eraser pencil. And I can come in, let me come in with this one because that one will take off too much color. If I can do a bit of controlled blending here. Then I'm happy to do so. Now what I mean by controlled blending is I do not want to use my fingers. I want to use a tool with a finer point, and a paper stump would work equally well, perhaps even better. This is going to remove some of the color in the process, not as much as the eraser pencil would. But you can see when you compare this to that certainly this has now become more muted. It's not quite as vibrant and bright as it was. But the colors are slightly more blended. Now, which is correct, to blend or not to blend? This is a huge controversy that amuses me no end in the literature about this topic. And the truth is, there's a place for both. The truth is also that I prefer less blended. I'm going to just work it back a bit. something like that. I can keep working here, and I should. It's a long ways off from done, but I don't want to create a video that's too long, and I want to get on with it. Okay, don't blow on it, but okay. So this is the idea here. Now I'm going to stick with the same kind of palette for the sake of speed, to keep the video shorter. I'm not going to rethink my colors too much here. I'm not going to rethink my process too much here, or overthink my process here. I want to create a really, really quick drawing, painting. Without overthinking it, and you can see I'm it feels like I'm now following a recipe, and that's not ideal, but okay. I would have preferred to have used different colors, as I've done with the other videos, but I think by now you sort of get what I'm going for with this, and it's the wrong line there. And it's easier to see where we're headed with this. So there's our grey centers with a bit of white, bit of black, and then we can come in and blend again to just pull it together a little bit better. This is way too fast. The idea with art is to take your time and enjoy the process, not to rush it like I am doing here. But honestly, how long can you look at someone creating the same flower over and over again? So okay, that's enough. It's not, yeah, it's not ideal. Let's blend that on a bit more. Okay, now, what do we do with the backdrop? Let's come in with some blues here, as we've been doing. Very vibrant blue. Let's do a softer one. And now you can see I am using the pastels on the sides. It's a very quick filling in of the color that I am doing here. Am I going to use another? Yes. No, that's the wrong shade. Sure. You see, I want to use this one, and it's too large, and that's me breaking it to get it to the size that I need it to be. Right. That should do it. Now I am going to do a very soft blend, and a tissue would work, a chamois cloth would work. There are so many things you can blend with, isn't it? But experiment a bit, and some cotton wool, whatever it is that you want to blend with. I'm not overly blending. I'm not taking too much color off of this. I am doing a very, very quick blend. Now, having done that, do I add leaves as I've been doing for the others? Yes and no. I am again going to create the suggestion of foliage. A little bit of scratching here and there, not thinking about anything, but rather putting down splotches of green to create an impression that there is foliage, and allowing the eye and the mind to trick itself into buying the illusion of foliage here. Not going to overwork it, leaving it at that. I don't like the edges on the flowers. I think they are not pronounced enough, and perhaps it is a good idea to now pull in my pastel pencils and to work at this a bit with the pastel pencils. They have become too blurred and too much a part of the background. And now I can add some detail with the pencils, and you can immediately see how that changes the drawing. Just a little bit of detail. I think that's enough. I'm going to give it a quick blow. Look at my surface. I keep thinking I should put something on the surface, and then I'm so excited to get started. I don't ever, and it's whatever, I'll clean up again. I think I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to write my name, and let me not be pedantic about using black. Let me do it in a purplish color. I have a purple in there, so I should be able to get away with it. Ooh, where do I hold this without taking the picture with me? Point. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Sometimes you just need to scratch it a bit and then it comes back to life. But I am going to call it I actually like that purple in here. I like that purple in here. I think that's what we need here. Ah, how nice is that? Okay. Yep, never forget to bring the shadow back. Or for that matter, the light. You can always bring the light back. Where's my white pencil? There it is. Hiding away. But I could effectively come in with a bit of light on the lightest side of the drawing. Okay, I am now doing what I said I was not going to do, working this to death, and I should stop. Well, I have now started, so let me at least give this a chance of survival. Right. If I now spray this with the hairspray, and I'm going to do this under the table, all of my pastels are here, and I don't really want to coat them with the hairspray because then I need to scratch them to revive them again. So if I do this under the table, then my pastels are protected from the spray. Now you can see the color disappears. And then if I hold it towards the wind, because I've got a fan going on here, to let it dry quickly. And then this, I'm sure, is an alcohol base. I haven't read it, but it dissipates rather quickly. It dries really quickly. I don't know. There. you will see the color comes back in no time at all. And when it's completely dry, it will come back. If you do feel that you've lost something in the process of spraying it, it is as simple as bringing your pastel back and applying a layer or two more, and that should do it. Okay, so that's an overview of soft pastels and what to expect for that. Hope you enjoyed it. See you guys.